In this technical analysis of the stock market video, I named it, ask the question, trust the bounce, question mark, because it's really tempting to just trust this bounce that we got the last couple of days, but we had a pretty hard thrust to the downside, and we'll talk about what I think the Elliott Wave picture is for the Dow Industrials today, but we'll also take a quick look at the SPX. And first of all, though, we're going to start off with the ETF Dashboard, which is what I review every week with my insider members. Then we'll take a look at that Dow and the SPX. Then I want to take a look at the McClellan Oscillator, which has been coiling for the last almost 2 months and got a real hard breakdown this week. Then I want to check in on Bitcoin and Ethereum, the two ETFs, GBTC and ETHE. And because we're talking about Bitcoin, we're talking about cryptocurrencies, of course, we're talking about Elon Musk and Tesla. So we're going to do an update on Tesla. The last time I talked about Tesla, I believe, was March 20th. So you might want to check that video out then and compare it to what I'm talking about right now. All right, let's start off with the ETF dashboard. Okay, so the previous week we had 11 of the sectors. I've got 16 sectors here that have listed. Some of these are subsectors of your traditional S&P 500 sectors. And there's 11 up and 5 down. And that was about the same as the week before that even. But all of a sudden we got a little bit of a reverse this week and a little more negative, 13 down, 3 up. The biggest loser for the week was home builders. So I think the interest rate situation is impacting them. Oh, they've had one heck of a run. You can see they're up almost 32% for the year. And the leader to the upside was consumer staples. But as you can see, it wasn't much of a leader. It just barely got positive. Now, when we look at the year-to-date numbers over here, retail continues to be just skyrocketing, up 45% for the year. And right on its tail is energy. And then we've got home builders, like I just talked about, 32%. Nasdaq Biotech, IBB, is the only one in the red right now. When we look at the indices, all of them were negative this week, and we'll look at that in a minute. And the Nasdaq 100, the Qs, were the most negative. They're all positive so far for the year. The leader to the upside is Russell 2000, edging out the Dow Industrials. When we look at the emerging markets, they were all negative this week. And the most negative is FXI, the China-Hong Kong. I call it China-Hong Kong because a good proportion of the stocks that are in here are the large caps listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. So they're all negative, and then for the year, that FXI is the most negative, and Russia, RSX, is the most positive, I believe mainly because of oil. All right, so now, since we're talking about oil, let's talk about commodities. Copper all of a sudden had a pretty big pullback, and I had to go check the chart on that. And let me pull it up real quick, because I was stunned because it had been having quite a big move to the upside in here. Well, here's what happened. Here's last Friday's close right here, and then here's what happened this week. So that's what's driving that picture and that number to the downside, down 1.7%. And the leader to the upside is oil. Okay, and for the year, oil continues it's edging out copper, and gold is actually the only one that's negative here of the 6 or 5 that I've got listed at -3%. We'll see how long that lasts. I'm getting a little more bullish on gold and silver, and actually we went long in the membership on silver today. Currency, we're looking here at the British pound was the strongest performer for the week. The yen was the weakest, and look at Bitcoin ETF, down 15%. This had been going through the roof, as you know, but it's still up 23% for the year, but I think it was like 50%, 45, 50%, or maybe even more than that. And for the year, we've got the British pound as the strongest of the traditional currencies, and the yen the weakest. When we look at the bond sector, the Emerging market debt was the weakest. They were all weak all negative this last week. And TLT is the worst performer for the year. The high yield bond fund was slightly positive at the end of last week, but now it's turned a little more negative. All right, so that is the picture, kind of the broad snapshot of the ETF dashboard. Let's take a look at the Dow Industrials. And I'm struggling a little bit with my voice, my allergies, so bear with me on that. So the Dow was up 360 points on Friday. So we got a bounce back after a pretty hard move to the downside in here in the middle of the week, Tuesday and Wednesday. And when you look at the weekly bar, it was down 395 points for the week. It's an outside down type candle. So we'll see what kind of follow through we get out of that. And it's really interesting when you look at the S&P 500 and compare the picture. The snapback that happened is very close to the same picture, but I think the difference there is look how the Dow really didn't get the 10-day exponential moving average to cross below that 21 simple. We didn't get the cross over to the downside that the S&P 500 did, but we got the snapback. It was up 61 points. But look at the weekly bar over here. This, to me, looks almost like a perfect hanging man. So we'll see, again, whenever you have these kind of candles appear, you got to have follow through the downside confirm. And actually what confirms this is a close below this body next week. So we'll see if we get that. I mean, we'll see what kind of follow through we get. I mean, just real quick, when you look at the Nasdaq 100 from last week, it was a similar type candle, and we sure got follow through to the downside this week. And you see, where did we close? We closed almost below the entire trading range of the previous 4 weeks, and very close to, that's the first week of April, very close to closing below all the trading of the entire month of April. So pretty negative move here with the Nasdaq 100. And I talked about this last week. All right, let's go back to the Dow. I don't know why it doesn't give me that weekly picture. What I want to do is I want to go to the Elliott Wave picture, and here's what I'm looking at. I am counting this high that was made on Monday the 10th as the high of the 5-wave move. And I'm talking about 5 waves up from the March 2020 low, 5 waves up from the March 2009 low, and even higher in terms of higher degree. I think there's a very good probability that this is the case, and we'll see how the wave structure plays out. Short term, look at the divergence that showed up, the bearish divergence that showed up between these highs, and we definitely got the follow through, but here's the snapback that occurred on Thursday and Friday. So here's how when I drill down and take a look at the 15-minute view of this, this is what I'm seeing. I think we had a first wave down, and then we're having a second wave back up. Now, there's a decent chance that the high that occurred here early in the afternoon, actually mid-afternoon, I guess, is the high of this wave 2 snapback. And, you know, you really, right here, if this is a zigzag, this looks to me like an A, B, and a C wave, okay? And it's really hard to tell the 5 waves in here and the first wave up. Sometimes you just get that kind of wave structure and you got to drill down into the 5 and 10 minutes to look at it. I think we are seeing a 5-wave move in here. Well, we'll see if we're finished. This last 15 minutes started to break this trend line that I'd drawn in here, as you can see. And the other thing that's interesting is we are in the 50 to 61.8% retracement zone, and I'm talking about a retracement of this move here. So what are we looking for? Let me go to the hourly view. What I'm looking for is 5 waves of this minuet level. And whether I call it minuet, that's what I'm calling it now. We'll have to watch and see how strong are the waves that unfold in here. It could be minute wave type wave structure, but I think minuet fits for the moment. And I'm looking for 5 waves. We get 5 waves in here. I think there's a high degree of confidence that we have started the next move to the downside. But we got to find that. We got to see that first before we go off saying, hey, we're in a new bear market. Right now, all indications are that we think the high is in right here. Okay, and we'll see if we get that confirmed. So that is the picture on the Dow Industrials. So to answer the question, trust the bounce? No, I'm not trusting the bounce. I just don't believe it. I'm looking for another wave to the downside, and it should be pretty strong. It should be a strong third wave, and we should be getting that sometime next week. Let's take a look at the McClellan Oscillator. Let me pull that up, and I'll show you what I'm talking about with the coiling that's been occurring. This started back here, really, where's the low? This low is the end of January. Here's February 9th. Look how this just coiled, got tighter and tighter and tighter. All of a sudden, we got the breakout, and we broke down to a low at minus 220. When you get below minus 150, you're in extremely oversold territory. Above 150, you're in extremely overbought territory. Well, this reading of minus 220 was the third lowest reading, other than what happened in September and October. It was the third lowest reading since that whole sell-off that occurred in March of 2020. So did we get any follow through? We got a snapback bounce like this, but we came back up almost into what I call the neutral zone. But it's interesting to pull right back up to where we broke out, really, out of this kind of this triangle. So it'll be interesting to see if this was just a little bit of a 2-day relief, which would tie it into what I'm seeing in terms of the wave structure and the way we're looking at it on the charts. So that is the picture on the McClellan Oscillator. Now let's take a look at Bitcoin. Okay, GBTC. I want to go right here to the daily chart. Okay, so for the longest time, for last couple of weeks actually, I thought there was a decent chance that this wave 4 had ended here. The concern I had with it was that it was very shallow, okay? And I'm talking about the intermediate wave 4. It was very shallow retracement of this entire third intermediate wave. And then the other thing that gave me pause was then as we started to rally out of this low here on April 23rd, it's like we just couldn't get any momentum. We couldn't get any breakout. We couldn't break this trend line to indicate that we were breaking out of this corrective pattern. Then all of a sudden, right here on Monday, we start to break down. Okay, and then we just get continuation to the downside. So right now, I think there's the way I see this picture is that we've got more to go to the downside. We're going to complete a 5-wave C wave for an A, B, C pattern in here, and that it's going to take us down a pretty good challenge to the low of the previous 4th wave of 1 lower degree. And where is that? That is the January low. And the other thing that matches up very closely with the January low is that if you do a wave 4 as a percent of wave 3 retracement, that's very close to 38%, which is my normal target for a pullback on a wave 4. So I've got a retracement target. I've got a previous wave 4 low over here. And where is that low? That's down around 30 on GBTC. Where do we close on Friday? 39.43. Now, if that's the case, that could take Bitcoin in terms of the dollars and cents of Bitcoin down to the January low or into that territory. And that's quite a ways lower from where it's at right now. So that's my picture here on Bitcoin. From a bigger picture, weekly picture, we get this wave 4 done. I think we got another move up to complete the 3rd primary wave. And then we got more after that. But, you know, 1 wave at a time. Right now, we got to finish off wave 4. Okay, so that is the picture on Bitcoin. Let's take a quick look at Ethereum. And right now, I think Ethereum peaked out here at the high on Wednesday, I guess this was. Intermediate or minor wave 3. I think it looks to me like 5 waves are in for minor wave 3. We should be getting a pullback for wave 4. It should not overlap wave 1 right here, this high, which is 2250. And where did we close? 3681. A 38% retracement would pull this back to 27, close this gap. So there's several things going on. It should pull back, I would think, in sync with what's happening with Bitcoin. And then we take off and running to complete 5 waves up for intermediate wave 3. Okay, so that's Ethereum. Now let's update Tesla. I got to go down into this region called the low-priced region called electric vehicles. But there's one stock in here that's not so low-priced, and that's Tesla. Let me blow this out a little bit. Okay, so where is last March 20th? Right in here. Go back and take a look at the video. You could see what I was talking about. This pattern has played out. We got this B wave, and now I believe we are working the C wave coming down in here. This should be a 5-way. The way this is starting out and looking, it doesn't look like an ending diagonal pattern of any kind, so it should be impulsive. And, you know, and I look to see, okay, where could we pull back down to? 100% would be here at 467. That would get us into the territory of the previous 4th wave of 1 lower degree, because we're talking about being in cycle wave 4. Okay, so this was primary wave 4 of cycle wave 3. So it is the 4th wave, previous 4th wave of 1 lower degree. Here's where that wave 4 ended, right here where I've got this dashed line. Okay, this was the end of that triangle that we had. And so it could pull right back to that, which would be 138% retracement of wave A, or extension of wave A, or somewhere in this zone. So I would say somewhere between 384 to 467 would be the target zone for this. And then, of course, what we've got to do is watch the wave structure in here and look for the 5 waves as it starts to unfold and continues to move to the downside. We're already a little bit oversold, but that doesn't mean anything. Just like when you get overbought, you can stay overbought and keep pushing. All right, so that is the picture on Tesla. We'll see how it unfolds over the next few weeks. And who knows how long this is going to take. It's really, really hard to tell. Again, the key is watching the wave structure as we unfold here in the C wave. All right, if you felt like the video was helpful, give it the thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber to the YouTube channel, hit that little subscriber button. And if you'd like more of this kind of information on a daily and weekly basis, head on over to joehenches.net right here. Check out the website and check out the membership. Everyone have a great weekend and a great week. We'll talk to you on the next video.